I was 11 the summer this happened. We were at my uncle's place, one of those big backyard cookouts that always seem to happen on the 4th of July. The smell of burnt hot dogs and sparklers in the grass, the occasional rogue firework going off early. The adults were loud, laughing, drinking, the kind of thing where no one's really watching the kids after a while. There were about 6 of us playing hide and seek. I don't remember who was it. I just remember deciding to hide somewhere where no one would think to look. Somewhere I wasn't even really supposed to go. The basement. It wasn't finished or anything, just, a concrete floor, a washer and dryer, some old boxes. It always smelled like dust and mildew. There was a narrow staircase right as you came into it from the garage. Underneath it, there was a small gap, maybe 2 or 3 feet high. I could just barely squeeze in behind some plastic tubs. I was completely hidden under the wooden staircase. It was the perfect spot during hide and seek. No one ever looked there. I was sitting in the dark trying not to breathe too loud when I heard the basement door open. That stopped everything. At first I thought it was one of my cousins coming down to find me. The steps were slow and careful. Each creak of the stairs made my chest tighten. One step, then another, and then they stopped. Whoever it was had only come down 2 steps, not far enough to be looking for someone, just far enough to listen. I stayed perfectly still. I could hear them breathing, slow and steady, not winded like someone who'd been running or laughing or playing. Just breathing. Then came the sound I still think about. The doorknob behind them, it was jiggling, hard like someone else was trying to open it from the other side, and in a voice that was muffled but sharp. "Hey, what are you doing in there?" More shouting followed, closer now, clearer. "Open the door!" The person on the steps turned, and I heard their shoes scrape on the wood, and then went fast right up the stairs, slamming the basement door behind him. A second later, the garage door banged open. Then there was silence. Eventually, my uncle came through the house yelling for everyone to come inside. He was furious, but he was rattled. Said someone had been seen sneaking around behind the garage, said they tried to slip into the house while everyone was outside watching the fireworks. No one knew who he was. He wasn't from the neighborhood. The police came and they took statements. I didn't say anything. I don't even really know why. I just felt small, almost like I had done something wrong just by being down there. And what would I have said? Someone walked partway down the basement steps and stood there listening? They never found him. Years later, I read about how during big events and holidays, creeps will walk around neighborhoods checking doors, seeing what's left unlocked while people are distracted. And sometimes they get inside. And I keep thinking about how close he was. Just 2 steps above me, not saying a word, just listening. I never really told anybody about this until just now. We always spent the 4th of July at the lake. Same cabin, same folding chairs, same plastic tablecloth with the little American flags on it. That year was no different except for the fact my brother Casey brought his college friends along, Tyler and Drew. All 3 of them were 22 years old, loud, stupid, and practically inseparable. They wanted to watch the fireworks from the water, said it'd be more epic that way. Mom wasn't thrilled, but Dad just grinned and helped him untie the old fishing boat. It was nothing fancy, just a faded aluminum John boat with a 15-horsepower motor that wheezed louder more than it roared. They left around 7. Casey had a Bluetooth speaker and a red and white cooler full of beer. I remember them cracking jokes as they pushed off, Drew flipping me off like he always did. I took a picture of them right before they pulled away. It's blurry, but you can see them grinning, 3 silhouettes against the golden water. That was the last time I saw my brother. At 10:34 p.m., Miss Langley, who lives across the lake, called the sheriff. She said she heard screaming. Not partying, but screaming, sharp, panicked, and, like something's wrong, Her husband tried to convince her it was just teenagers lighting fireworks or jumping in the water drunk, but she knew better. The search started the next morning. The boat was found near the eastern shore, stuck in some reeds. No one was in it, no motor running. One life jacket was still inside, sitting on the back bench, perfectly dry. When they brought it back, it was like a crime scene on one of those TV shows, Yellow tape, rubber gloves, the whole deal. I watched from the dock as the deputies poked around inside. At one point, a younger one ducked under the front seat and came back out holding something wrapped in a towel. My stomach dropped. It was Casey's phone. I don't know how it survived. Maybe the boat never actually flipped. Maybe whatever happened wasn't violent enough to sink it. I guess I'll never know. They gave it to us a week later after they'd done whatever data extraction they needed to do. Most of the videos were exactly what you would expect. Beer sloshing, bad jokes, someone yelling at Tyler for trying to pee over the side of the boat. But the last one was only 22 seconds long. And it starts with fireworks. You can see them reflecting off the surface of the lake. The camera's tilted like it was sitting on someone's lap or wedged into a seat. There was laughter. You can hear Drew say something like, "Hell yeah, this is perfect." And then there was a noise. A loud, wet smack, something hitting the side of the boat hard. The camera shakes and someone shouts, "What the hell is that?" Then more shouting, something scraping like metal on metal. Another hit, louder this time. The phone drops. You see nothing, just sloshing water, a shoe maybe, someone gasping, then a splash. And then it was just all static. That's it. No one ever found them, not a body, not a clue. They searched for 2 weeks. They brought in sonar, even divers, but there was nothing. Theories floated around, of course. Drunk and fell overboard, misjudged their location, got hit by a firework. I remember standing on the dock the last night we were there, just staring out into the dark. It was so still. Just no waves, no wind, just, the occasional pop of a leftover firework echoing across the water. I kept thinking about that last video, about that sound. It wasn't a wave. It wasn't a firework. Something hit the boat. Something made my brother scream like that. Something made it so that they never came back. And I don't know what scares me more. Is it that we'll never know what it was? Or is there something out there, just under the surface, waiting? We were only supposed to be an hour out. That was the whole plan. Drive to this little lakeside town past the ridge, grab some greasy food from a cart, and watch the fireworks over the water. I'd been working like crazy, and Anna just wanted a quiet night out of the city. This was our third 4th of July together, and honestly, I thought I'd nailed it. We were laughing about something stupid. She had her feet up on the dash eating peach rings, radio turned down low, windows down. Her hair kept whipping around, and she kept flicking it away, like pretending it annoyed her way more than it really did. Then we missed a turn. The GPS froze just long enough to reroute us after we'd already missed the exit. I didn't want to mess around flipping a U-turn, especially on a narrow mountain road, so I asked her to look for another route. "There's a back way," she said, scrolling in. "County Road 12. Should cut right through and drop us right into Haleburg." So I took it. A few minutes in, the pavement disappeared, gravel, then dirt. No signs, no lights, just wire fencing and tall grass slapping the sides of the car. Anna asked if I was sure. "It's fine," I said. "It's probably just rural. These towns don't pave everything." She got kind of quiet after that. I noticed she kept checking her phone, watching the bars disappear. Then, without warning, we were in it. The town. No welcome sign, no name, just there. A small cluster of rundown buildings tucked into the trees, pressed in close like they were trying not to be noticed. First thing I noticed about it, though, was the silence. There was no fireworks, no music, not even crickets, and it was July. There were people, though, a dozen at least, standing on porches, and some around a flagpole in the middle of what looked like a dirt square. Every one of them just turned and looked at us as we drove by, but none of them smiled, no one waved. Anna kind of shifted in her seat and said, "Can we just turn around?" "Yeah," I said. "Let's get out of here." I took the next loop I could find to backtrack. The road was still there. It looked the same. But when I followed it, something was wrong. We passed a rundown hardware store that wasn't there before. The fence looked different. I was positive we'd come from this direction, but it curved off behind a diner instead of heading back out. So, I tried again, but it was the same. We'd take the road that should lead out, and then we'd end up circling back into the same handful of buildings, the same diner, the same one-pump gas station with $2.04 on the sign, the same boarded-up barber shop. Every time we passed, the people stared at us. Not like they were angry or anything. They were just still, I guess. I gripped the wheel a little tighter and kind of focused on the road. I figured we'd asked for directions. The diner looked like it might still be open. The lights were on inside, so I told Anna to stay in the car just in case it was weird, and I walked in. There was a guy behind the counter in a grease-stained apron. A waitress stood next to him. 6 or 7 people sat scattered across booths, and all of them turned around and looked at me as soon as I stepped in, but no one said a word. They didn't move. They didn't blink. They just stared. I stood there just inside the door waiting for someone to say something, but they didn't. They just watched me like they were waiting for me to do something. I kind of backed out slow, didn't say a word. Then I got back in the car. Anna asked what happened. I just shook my head and said, "They weren't talking." We drove again, slower now, watching the roads. I kept expecting to find the exit the way we came in, but every single path looped back around or dumped us behind another part of town. It made no sense to me. We weren't stuck. Nothing had changed. It just felt like the whole layout kept shifting when we weren't looking. Anna pulled out her phone again. No signal. GPS isn't working. I tried mine, same thing. The time on the home screen hadn't changed either, 6:44 p.m. That's when I started feeling this tightening in my gut. We stopped at the gas station. I got out, and Anna followed. Inside, the air smelled damp and old. The shelves were fully stocked, but it was all weird brands. Candy I didn't recognize, bottled soda with faded labels. Everything looked like it hadn't been touched in years. A rack of fireworks were by the counter. I remember that. The packaging was faded and warped like it was water damaged or something. There was no clerk, no bell, just an empty counter and this low hum from the ceiling lights. Then I heard it. This murmuring, faint, like someone having a conversation behind a wall, but it was too soft to make it out. But you could feel it in your ears. Anna looked at me and we left. Back in the car, she locked the doors. I didn't say anything. I tried to reroute GPS again, but nothing loaded. I refreshed the map manually, still stuck. And then I looked up and the people were gone. All of them. No one on the porches, no one near the flagpole. It was like the town had emptied out in one breath. We got back in the car without saying anything. I turned the key and the engine stuttered a little bit before actually starting. We pulled back onto the road. The gravel was crunching under our tires. For a few minutes, it was just trees again, the same dirt road, the same stretches of dark brush and empty sky. I think we missed something, I muttered, but Anna didn't answer me. She just stared out the window like she was trying to spot something familiar. The gas station wasn't behind us anymore, but it wasn't ahead of us either. Just more road, more silence, more of whatever this was. And then, just like that, we were back on the highway. We pulled off the shoulder and sat there in silence for a while. I was gripping the steering wheel so tight my hands began to ache. Anna checked her phone. 9:06 p.m. 3 hours had passed. We made it to Helberg, just in time to see the last of the fireworks over the lake. Kids were laughing, music playing, vendors shouting over each other. Everything was completely normal. We found a spot near the water and just stood there for a while, not really saying much. The sky was lit up in red and gold, and for the first time that night, it felt like we could breathe again. Anna smiled at a little kid behind us. I went and grabbed a couple lemonades from a stand. It was crowded, it was loud, and it was alive. It was everything that the drive hadn't been. Whatever that place was, it stayed behind us, and we never went that way again.